We must remember that the military-industrial complex is not here for the benefit of humanity, and we must remember that we the people have the power. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the next speaker. He is a 2024 Libertarian presidential candidate, a friend and a colleague in liberty, ter Maat. Thank you so much.
How are y'all doing? I have one thing unpredictable to say, and then everything else I say is going to be completely predictable. I'm not a big fan of Republican politicians, but I got to say that guy Aaron Day is growing on me. How about a round of applause for a guy who has the guts to come out here as a Republican? Everything else I have to say is completely predictable. My fellow Americans and fellow citizens from around the world, you already know exactly what I'm going to say, as though you could read my mind. And I know that you can read my mind because you can read my heart. And I know that you can read my heart because you know my values. You know my values because I, like many of you standing around here today, am an American. Being an American means that we believe in a set of ideals, and a set of ideals that defines us as a nation, not a culture, not a race, but a set of principles that has made our nation what it is when it is at its best. A set of principles and a set of ideals of which we fall short when our nation is at its worst. Ideals like immigration and the opportunity that it promises, independence and the responsibility that that implies, multiculturalism and the tolerance that that demands. In this nation, there is no room for a government of control. There is no room for policies of aggression. There is no room for an environment of intimidation. Just as we must demand the best version of America, so too does the world long for the America of our ideals. We know the world yearns for the sound of idealism because in its silence, evil has grown. Evil grows in the hegemonic projection of power. Evil grows in the imperialistic control of foreign people. Evil grows in the despotic arrogance of nation building. The world awaits a new leadership away from evil. Make no mistake, all leadership comes from values. It is not for American values to change, but for American policy to change by aligning with what we already know true American values to be. Politicians will tell you that it is in our interest for them to exert control, both at home and abroad. You know this to be utter and unadulterated bullshit. Other Americans sense it, and the rest of the world is tired of it. For this reason, ours is a government that operates not in the light, but in the shadows, silencing competing voices, prosecuting whistleblowers, murdering resistant forces. Ours is a government that operates not in our interest, but in the interest of the instruments of power itself, maintaining the expense and obligation of supporting NATO 30 years beyond its sell-by date, maintaining the expense and obligation of supporting Ukraine in a war neither of our making nor of our defense, maintaining the expense and the obligation of supporting a policy of strategic ambiguity toward the independence of Taiwan, maintaining the expense and the obligation of supporting a military-industrial complex, a veritable war machine capable of defeating the rest of the world combined. Ours is a government that operates not to minimize the probability of nuclear war, but to maximize the chances of winning a nuclear exchange. It is not in the interest of peace to deploy so-called conventional weapons that so outpace our adversaries that they imagine no other recourse than tactical nuclear weapons. It is not in the interest of peace to continue to widen the gap between American dominance and the ability of rivals who would themselves exert regional influence. It is not in the interest of peace to posture before other nations, so as to invoke fear in their populations. It is not in the interest of peace to adopt the world's subjugation as our objective. And because our government's policy is not in the interest of peace, it can never be in the interest of us. Today, here in this place, us means a coalition of Americans and others with little more in common than an understanding of the misalignment of American foreign policy with American values. If we share no other common understanding, let it be that such misalignment will always and everywhere undermine the interests of us as Americans. Only peace can allow the ingredients required for prosperity to spread. Only peace can allocate the resources our economy requires to grow. Only peace can achieve the framework our society needs to develop. Only peace can apply the values our culture cherishes. Only peace can afford the attention our children deserve. Only peace can advance the future of which each and every one of us dreams. A policy that does not align with our long-term interests can never fulfill the best of what America can be, and can never provide the leadership the world needs from America. The world is ready for a message of peace, and Americans are ready to send that message. We are ready to give peace a try because we have been failed by the war machine, a machine that has brought us abject failure in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, a machine that has poured blood onto our hands. So too have we been failed by a corporate machine that has robbed us of our resources, a machine that has robbed us of the opportunity to lead the world toward prosperity. We have been failed by a political machine that has robbed us of the simple dignity of being represented by a foreign policy that reflects our values as Americans. And we have been failed by a media machine that has robbed us of the truth, a truth that embarrasses us with failure, offends us with aggression, diminishes us through control of politicians, and insults us by doing so with our own resources. The time has come to put an end to the reign of the political class, the woke prosecutors, the political self-dealers, the war machine militarists, the crony capitalists, the administrative chieftains, and the money-printing royalty, the self-obsessed media snobs, and the self-appointed victim seers, the entitlement peddlers, and the snake oil pharmaceuticals. The time has come and the time is now for the encroachment on our values and the erosion of our very sovereignty. Sovereignty over our policies, both foreign and domestic, continues apace. Politicians continue the construction of institutions of control. Corporations continue the construction of relationships of manipulation. The media continue the construction of narratives of justification. The wicked sleep not, and so must not we. Sleep not, peace seekers and value keepers. Sleep not, family makers and business builders. Sleep not, patriots, nationalists, liberals, and libertarians like you. Sleep not, my fellow Americans, sleep not, fellow citizens of the world. Sleep not, for the time has come to turn the tables. No longer can we afford to accept the authoritarianism of the political class to declare war on behalf of our nation, to declare war on our values, to declare war effectively on us. The time has come for us to be the ones to declare that war on their values, on their disdain, on their presumptions to authority, on their institutions, on their apparatus, on their agencies, on their administration. The time has come for us to declare war on their state. Thank you. That's just per se funny. Good job today. Everything that you did not work for you. We do work together on the campaign, but you don't even need to be told this. Who do you think bosses the other one around more? Yeah, exactly. You don't even have to say it. See you at the next one. See you at the next one.
See you. I'm gonna try and go to Ethiopia if I don't come.
Well, Queen is even closer than Ethiopia. I've never been to the real Ethiopia. I hope so. I doubt it.
Hey, no, I think you're one of those libertarians.
Hey, you got that right, which means that we're not for war and neither are you.
Yeah, so what about the duopoly? They're all pals. They know what's best for us.
They know what's best for them.
If we can simply do what they say, none of the conflict would exist. We just all be dead.
See? No people, no problem.
Exactly. I'll see you in the bunker.
I'll see you in the bunker. Last man in, lock the door. I think the organizers did a great job putting it together. They brought together a very interesting slate of speakers. I was very proud to be one of them. Very proud to be here representing the Libertarian Party, of course. Fun to see some others from the Libertarian Party here. So a real nice event, a real nice day. And great to see people from other parties. You know, quite a coalition. We probably have nothing else in common. But we're all against the war machine, and we're for the idea of bringing peace, not only to the United States foreign policy, but around the world.
Where do you go next?
Oh boy, where do we go next? I'm on the road to Chicago, Indiana, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Washington.
God bless you.
Absolutely free market solution. We need to discourage insurance at the corporate level. The reason we have such a screwed up policy, of course, is because the federal government encouraged the extension of insurance into the corporate market through the tax code. I would get rid of all that. The only intervention I would allow to remain in healthcare is a requirement for prices to be disclosed and for a one price system. In other words, if you have one price for insurance companies and one price for those that are not insured, that is prima facie evidence that you have control over your market in a way that is not in the interest of the development of that market. So I would require one price. I would require the disclosure of pricing, and then I would get government policy the hell out of it.
And what about people who couldn't afford it?
People would be able to afford it over time, because one of the things that keeps prices up is government requirements for insurance to cover more than it needs to, and government intervention actually making it more expensive. We need a competitive market to provide services on a one-off basis rather than just giant hospitals and insurance companies. Not opposed to a bottom line social safety net. That is completely acceptable to me. I do believe that as the United States government gets out of the entitlement business, the private sector will be stepping up and providing a social safety net that would benefit folks at a fairly wide range of the socioeconomic spectrum.